I'm the king of the world.
Thinking about my life in a long ride. Figured I could figure for a long time. Trying to get $1 million in the cosign. Get my mama posted on the coastline. No mind. Talking out your neck, get your clothesline. No mind. Coming out the bottom, so for now I'm on a gold mine. Living on the low for sure. I need a showtime. Showing up and showing no one been the coldest all time. No cap, no kizzy, that's straight facts. Laid back in the city where I stay at. Stay back, stay busy, I stay that.
Well, we made it. It's day 3 of autocross week. We're only halfway through the week though. We're actually going to be driving. Actually, no, that's the same course. We're going to be on the same course as we are on Tuesday, but I'll be interested to see if it's different at all and if the grip levels have changed, but it's not very warm out today, so I don't know if we're going to get any more traction or not. So I'm just going to stay as long as I can and still do my best and try and learn what I can from the course, but I don't know what time I'm going to leave because I do have a 13-hour drive and I got to get to Brainerd, but well, I want to finish off the week strong and do my best, so let's get it. Well, I think from the first day, our problem was probably our tire pressures, and I don't know if the surface has changed at all or people have been racing out here, but that last run, I was able to find a lot more grip and time, and I just was intentionally more aggressive with the car. I don't know why. It seemed to hook up more. I ran like a 65-second run, and it felt way more amazing. So hopefully these next few runs I can lay down some better times or just eke out a little bit more time, because day 1 I was not able to improve on my times at all and they were horrible times. This one wasn't too bad, so we'll see, but I'm feeling really good. This is gonna be hopefully this is gonna be a good way to end the week. So as we've been like going through the week and whatnot and then paying attention to the cars, this is one of the cars that I find a little more interesting, mostly because I'm a Mustang guy, but I also love the way that this car is built, just because it follows a similar philosophy on how I build my cars, where I throw a lot of suspension and tire on the car without ramping up the power. And this is Steven's 1994 Ford Mustang, and I'm gonna have him give a quick rundown of everything he's got done to it and kind of how he's built it.
So this is my 1994 Ford Mustang. Had it since 2011. It started as a V6 with a seized engine, so I got it real cheap and have just completely changed everything in it. So now it has 5-liter small block Ford still in it, just normal head cam intake, so it's only making like maybe 300-ish horsepower, but a lot of suspension mods. So the front is custom built and designed SLA suspension that I did. The rear end is a torque arm, still a solid axle. The tires are Bridgestone RE71 RS's in a 295 and 18 wheel. The wheels are Kanze KMPs, 18 by 10.5.
And you're running a square stance, correct?
Square stance, yep. So that makes it where I can easily just rotate the tires around. So yeah, completely square. Let's see, the car is actually red, but it's been wrapped by myself and my girlfriend Ashley, so we completely wrapped the car ourselves. She also drives the car, so it's a lot of fun. So we have a 2-driver car, so she's not here today, but she normally autocrosses the car as well. As far as exterior, we got the splitter, the spoiler, all legal for KMT class, which is what this car is built for and runs in. And interior is pretty basic, 4-point seats. Yeah, that's stripped out where it can be. Yeah.
So you said in the beginning that it was a seized motor V6 and you swapped in 302. Did you swap in a working V6 when you got it, or did you immediately go to the V8 swap?
I immediately went to the V8 swap, just a stock V8. So this isn't even the same block that originally I had put in at that time.
Okay.
So that one was just a stock 5-liter. This one's been worked over a little bit, but it bolts right in, so it's real easy to do that swap over.
Okay. And you said you're running a torque arm in the back. Is that Maximum Motorsports setup?
So it's all Maximum Motorsports in the rear. So Panhard bar, torque arm, control arms, dampeners, coilover kit.
Okay.
And then, so yeah, the rear is all Maximum Motorsports. The front coilovers are JRI shocks.
Okay. And are those front ones adjustable at all?
Yeah, the front are double adjustable. The rears are not adjustable at all.
Okay.
So eventually I will swap out the rear ones to be some kind of adjustable, but right now, nothing.
Okay. And you said you're running subframe connectors. Are those also Maximum Motorsports? Okay.
Yeah.
I have to say the suspension setup in this car is very good. When I was riding with you, it strikes a very good balance of being soft and supple and having some movement, but not being too uncontrollable and like all over the place. It's very controllable and stiff enough, but still has enough roll around and whatnot to do what you want to do.
A little bit of softer spring setup than I ran in the past, or what you would consider normal for these Mustangs, which are mostly road race. So I run a little bit softer setup.
Yep. And what cars when you run this thing in CAM-T, how do you stack up competitive wise? Like, is this thing pretty competitive in CAM-T, or what?
Yes, so I'm winning. I'm leading my class locally. I'm actually leading right now.
Okay.
We don't have that many properly compared or prepared CAM-T cars in my region, but yes, right now I'm winning my class back home, which we actually combine all the CAM cars into one giant class, so, and it's all pack space, so yeah, I'm beating the CAM-S and CAM-C cars at the moment. Maybe not always in raw time, but in packs.
Okay. You mind if we see under the hood real quick? You showed me earlier that you have some interesting design with the ignition system.
Yeah, so this is 306. It's got trick flow 11R heads, the Holley systematic intake, Anderson N41 cam, and then it has an ignition system that I completely designed and built. So it's coil near plug setup, using just junkyard parts, parts from Explorers, the new Godzilla engine. The ECU is actually from Grand Marquis, so it's running EEC5 setup, and it's being tuned by EFI Dyno Tuning right now.
Okay. And you said the coil packs are off of Godzilla, right?
Yeah, the 7.3 gasser.
Yep. And then that pickup on the where the distributor would be
from an Explorer 5.0.
Yep.
And then it's got an Explorer 5.0 crank position.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things I appreciate about this car. Is it definitely has a lot of get up and power, but not enough to where it's going to overwhelm the car where you're fighting it. I find a lot of guys in autocross, they have a lot of power, and sometimes it's just more than they can handle. And this car seems to be very effective and something where you can put all the power down and the car like seems to do. Yeah, you can. It seems like this car does exactly what you want it to do all the time.
Exactly. So this engine is, I just put this in this winter. Before this was still 302, but like GT40P has and all, it dynoed at 240, and I mean that was still enough to light up the tires when I needed it to. But I mean it's only 240 horsepower, but it's still with the suspension stuff that was done, it was able to do quite well. So now that I have more power and better front suspension, the front suspension is also new this year.
Cool. The only other question I have is, what are your like future plans for the car, or any big changes you want to do next, or what kind of, you gonna keep the car as is for a while, or?
I can never leave anything as is, but I'm struggling to think of the next big thing to do to it. So this winter, this off season, is when I did the engine and ignition system, is when I did the front suspension. The front suspension design and build took basically a year to do all the planning and designing of that. I do want to do independent rear suspension at some point. Not sure if it will be done this off season because I haven't started planning it at all. But I think that will be something that I'll do eventually. But it'll be probably nice to run the car as if I've never done that. So always, every off season is just changing the car. So I mean, I've had it since 2011, as I said. So it's slowly progressed. I ran in CP for a while on Hoosiers, and then once CAM class came about, and once the car became an antique where I could actually register it for the street, because it has to be street legal for CAM class, I moved over to CAM in 2021.
Yeah, and I'm sure it'd be hard to mess around with it at this point, because you probably know as well as I do, once the car works and is just like running exactly how you want it to, it's hard to mess around with it and you know, take it back to square one.
Yeah.
I know. Well, cool, man.
Yeah, the only other thing I would like to say is, so this car is, most of all the work that I've done is on Instagram, on my YouTube, Brainerd Automotive. You can go and see a lot of things of how I build the suspension, the engine, the ignition setup, watch all our autocrosses. So, thank you.
So here at Autocross Week, I have a few like favorite cars, and I have to say this one's probably in the top 3 or whatever. This is a 72 Camaro, belongs to Sam, and this, as you can see here, has a wild motor under the hood, but I'm gonna let Sam, the owner, talk about this.
So it's a 72 Camaro, it's a base model, and bought it, it was fairly stock. It had 14-inch steel wheels, a 307 V8, it was pretty gutless, and a 3-speed auto behind it. So it's been a journey over the last 5-6 years, kind of building it up to where it's at now. It's had 2 different engine combinations, 4 different turbo combinations. So at the minute it's an LQ4 based LS 6-litre truck block. It's got a Summit stroker kit in it, so it's 408, AFR 245 heads, and a fast LSXR intake on it with a 102 throttle body. Big air-to-air intercooler down here. It's a, I can't remember how big that turbo is, but it's a decent size anyway. It's good for like 1300 horsepower worth of turbo.
Yeah, this thing's massive. Like, look at my fist compared to this thing. It moves a lot of air.
And then obviously I got the header set up, so it's 8-into-1, full equal length, and that's what gives this car its unique sound. So it's not fire and order, it's still a cross-plane crank. A lot of people ask me if it's flat plane. It's not. It's standard crank. Right. But all of the headers are equal length, and then all come together in this 8-into-1 single up pipe into the turbo, and then down out the back of the car through a 4.5-inch oval. Single system, so it's single exit at the back.
I noticed that. I noticed you had the oval exhaust on that. That's like one of my favorite looks on a car. But
so that's actually for ground clearance.
Yeah.
The car's pretty low, and I've actually raised the floor at the front part of the car. It looks factory, but it's not. It's 1.5 inches higher.
Okay.
To try and give me more clearance.
Okay. And
I run a Monster triple plate clutch.
Okay.
And T56 Magnum, which has been upgraded with a G-force gear set. So it's dog engagement, face-plated gears on first, second, third, and fourth. So you can clutchless shift this car up and down, 1 through 4. So I do a lot of stuff with the car, not just autocross. I daily drive it in the summer. I drag race it. I do lapping days. I go camping with this thing. So this thing gets used and abused.
And I'm already aware of it, but do you want to tell everybody how you managed to get this 8-into-1 header all equal length? You want to explain to them the process you did for that?
Yeah, so it took me about 3 months, kind of evenings and weekends, to get through it, but I basically started with the rear cylinders because they got the longest run to get to the front. So I made those 2 first, measured the length of those, got them as short as I could within reason, and then basically matched all the other headers to those lengths. I'd do a first pass where I'd actually measure all of the tubes, get them as close as I could, and then I'd actually match them by volume. So I'd cap one end, fill them all full of water, then weigh the water on a kitchen scales, and then figure out what I needed to do to adjust it. So then once I'd made them all, I'd cut them all back up and adjust them by 1/8 of an inch in and out to get them all absolutely spot on. So these are all within a 16th of each other.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy too that you daily drive this thing in the summer. I have to say this is probably the craziest daily I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I'd run it all year if we didn't get so much snow up in Michigan. So yeah, no, I drive this thing as much as I can in the summer. I love driving it.
Okay. And what are you running for wheel and tire package? Because you're in the same class as I am, being on a Nitto NT01.
Yeah. So it's Forge Star 3-piece wheels all round. They're 18 by 11.5 front and 18 by 12.5 rear.
Okay.
And yeah, Nitto NT01s, primarily for the road course stuff that I do with it.
Okay.
Not, as ideal for autocross because you need some heat in them. And then Willwood disc brakes all round, 6 pistons, 14-inch rotors up front. And then I'm running a smaller rotor in the back and 4-piston.
Okay.
Primarily so I can still clear a 15-inch rim when I run it at the drag strip with bias ply radials.
So you run bias plies on this thing?
Yeah, for the drag strip.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll switch over. I street, autocross, road course lapping on these, and then I have a separate set for drag racing.
Okay. And then My other question is about the paint. Is this like a custom color, or is this a factory color of some kind?
It's not factory for a Camaro this year. It's actually a Corvette color. I think from C34 type vintage, so it's black cherry metallic. It really pops in the sun. Actually, this is a great day for it. When it's clouded over, it looks almost brown, but it is purple.
Yeah. And not only the paint is amazing, but he's also got a carbon deck lid and a carbon wing. And why don't you tell them what you did with the rear bumper as well?
So I get a lot of hate when people realize what I've done, but this is actually a carbon bumper that I wrapped in chrome so that the thing looked more original. And I'm in the process of doing the same thing at the front. Got a composite front bumper and I'm chrome wrapping that.
There you go.
So it still looks somewhat original. I know the wheels are a bit of a giveaway, but I try and keep it fairly subtle.
That's awesome. As you can see, as he was talking about, he's got a humongous oval exhaust down there. This thing sounds wild.
It runs a Dutchman 9-inch rear end, still a solid rear axle. All the suspension is Speedtech, so it runs a Speedtech Extreme front subframe with coilover conversion, upper and lower control arms, rack and pinion steering instead of a steering box. So that's new in the last 10 weeks. I'm just getting the front end of the car dialed in, but it's awesome.
There you go.
So much better than the stock stuff with bolt-ons.
Well, nice. Do you have like a YouTube or Instagram that you want to plug at all, or?
Yep, Chevy_Adventures is my Instagram and YouTube, so go check it out.
Car felt really good that run. It was pushing a little bit in some areas, but that was our best time of the day of a 64.8. So I'm gonna keep pushing for a little bit more, but I don't want to get myself carried away. But I feel like I'm finally able to just chip away at my time and get better on the course and whatnot. We got a couple rain clouds coming in. I don't think it's gonna rain, but something I'm gonna be aware of. But this is a lot better track than I remember the last time. For some reason, I don't know if it's just the tire pressures, but we're doing a lot better today than we were on Tuesday, so I'm very content with that.
Thinking about my life in a long ride. Figured I could figure for a long time. Trying to get $1 million in the cosign. Get my mama posted on the coastline. No mind, talking out your neck, get your clothesline. No mind, coming out the bottom, so for now I'm on a gold mine. Living on the low for sure, I need a showtime. Showing up and showing no one been the coldest all time. No cap, no kizzy, that's straight facts. Laid back in the city where I stay at. Stay back, stay busy, I stay that. Stating I'm the greatest for my state, and that's a statement. Stay great, stay laid up on my grind now. Grade 8, you can see it from my eyebrows. Take a fan, I'm trying to turn the tide. What's the time out? Time's up, you ain't fucking with me, lie down. Stay down, so to come up on the big plus. Head down, but I'm walking with a big blunt. Head count, if I take a bit, we take one. Bet I'm better than the top 10 A1. I've been looking in the past like an hourglass. Got me hitting out the glass, watching all these hours pass. Now I'm on a different type of time blur. Hardest talking got me feeling like the king of the world. I done heard my mama cry way too many times. Waiting on the side change, never mind moms. I'm a landmine, someone get a landline, landslide, side on where you stand high.
Then talking about vehicles here, we have by quite a bit the oldest vehicle here is this truck behind me. You don't see trucks a lot in autocross, but there's quite a few out here today. There's another S10, and you see quite a bit of like smaller trucks. But this, even by today's standard, is somewhat of a bigger truck, but it is a very like well and thoroughly built truck. So I'm gonna let the owner talk about the truck, but this thing is definitely one of the cooler vehicles here. It's also very competitive. It's quite a fast truck. It's got a lot of tire on it.
A 1950 Chevrolet pickup. Started life out as an old Midwest farm truck.
Okay.
Own stock, it's all original. When I got it, it had a 6-cylinder, 4-speed. When I first bought it for around Christmas time, my sister wanted to take some pictures with it, and I was teaching my nephew how to drive it during Christmas time.
Okay.
And after that, I started taking it apart, and I put it's got this factory frame on it with a C4 Corvette suspension frame off, completely gutted the whole truck, everything. Put a C6 Z06 brakes on it. All the modifications on there is coilovers, all different control arms. It's got a 2014 L77 6-liter, all aluminum, full cop cam, valve train in it, T56 6-speed stick, 335 30/20s on the rear, 295 30/20s on the front. The body's been widened 6 inches, each fender 3 inches. That has been widened 6 inches. Kept the original fenders, put an adjustable rear wing on it, full roll cage, 1 3/4 120 volt diesel intended.
And you widened the bed so that way you didn't have to widen the fenders for the rear tires, so that way you could just use factory replacement rear fenders, right?
It's an all steel truck. There's nothing fiberglass, nothing aftermarket.
Okay.
Factory frame and everything.
Okay, and since you used C4 Corvette suspension, do you still have the transverse leaf springs in it?
Coilovers in it.
Okay.
It's got full coilovers at all 4 corners, Rytec, giant sway bars front and rear on it. I had to modify them because they wouldn't fit this chassis.
Yep.
Broke them. I broke a bunch of stuff on the truck already.
Yeah. What? How have you been doing, like reliability-wise, this trip? What's been going on?
Oh, the first day I was doing fun, having fun on it. Then I was trying to better my time, and I come out in one corner a little too hot. And I nailed it, and I broke a U-joint in the rear stub shaft. Broke the stub shaft, broke the axle shaft, all that. And then Summit actually gave me a ride. We found one put on the internet all over, and blasted all over. And Mongoose Motorsports said, "We got one. Come get it." So Summit took one of their guys in their truck and brought me to Ohio to Mongoose Motorsports to actually pick up the axles. I grabbed a spare one from them. Came back, and I already had my 2 runs in. Came back, fixed the truck. Had to do a MacGyver on it, drill out in the stub shaft to try to fix it. MacGyver that in, fixed it. Got left here. It's like 6, 7 o'clock. Got to the stop point at 8:45 at night. Then to the motel at 10:30, and didn't have no rooms. We only got 1 room left, and grabbed that room. That was beat for that evening.
Oh, jeez. Well, at least you made it this far in the trip.
Next day I came out, turned some real fast times with it on the short course at UMI. Then at Dragway 42, I took a little bit easier because I had a nice long distance. I didn't want to break it. And I spun a belt, put another faster time down, and I spun a belt. And it was like, nope, truck's talking to you, don't do that again.
And then you've been throwing a couple belts today too, right?
Yeah,
you lost
another belt today on it.
Okay.
The power steering's been going out. I've been having troubles with the power steering with it. So I got another pump for it, but it didn't work. One I wanted was 2 weeks later than today's date to get here. So I put another stock one on it to replace it. But I'm going to put another one on it, make it better, put better shocks on it, make it faster.
Cool, man.
I like that. Something different, you know? You don't see something like this on this.
No, yeah, this thing is cool. It's definitely cool seeing a truck and autocross. You'd think they're a little out of place, but this thing's really well set up. It seems to do really well out here.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I got to get a little better. It's the first year out on it. It took me a year and a half to build it.
That's pretty quick.
So I went to Bowling Green, Kentucky for the first time. Actually did the Pro Touring Truck Shootout. I was breaking the brakes in on I-64 South.
Oh, jeez.
We had snow in Massachusetts. It was full of crap. The roads were crap, and I couldn't drive it on the roads. So I probably put 10 miles on it after the build, and then went to Bowling Green with it. Got 8th out of 26 trucks. First time out ever with it.
That's crazy. And then you also have this trailer set up for Autocross Week. You carry all your stuff in there?
Yeah, everything's in there. My luggage, well, one bag goes inside, the other bag goes in there. I've stuffed everything in there, and my cooler goes in the back because there's not much room in the bed anymore because the bed is actually a wing.
Right. So he's got his cooler set up back here, along with, you can see the cage comes out the cab, and he's got the rear airfoil set up.
That's fully adjustable.
Now, speaking of cooler setup, you want to show me that cool trick that you're just showing me inside the cab here?
So, like I said, it's all original body truck, and what I did was took the old battery box here and made a smuggler's box.
So that was the original battery box for the vehicle, original to the truck.
So it was open to the elements, but I made this box out of tin so I could put stuff in there.
Okay.
Nobody would know. I got a doubled-in radio with a backup camera, nice stereo system, Apple CarPlay for my radio there.
You got bucket seats and a Hurst shifter.
Yep, 6-speed.
Okay, you got the. I like that you have the original dash. This thing is really pretty.
Thank you. Then right behind here, my fuses for the computer system.
That's trick.
Factory glove box. It's got air conditioning in it. Heater. It's got all vintage air and heat, AC and heat.
That's cool. I've ridden in a car with vintage air before. They seem to be really effective.
Yeah, they are. They work really well.
This thing run cool?
All day long, 180 degrees.
Dang.
At 80 miles an hour down the turnpike, 6 gears, 1,500 RPMs.
Wow, that's impressive.
You can let go of the steering wheel all you want.
That's impressive, especially for something this old. It's also got independent rear suspension, as we mentioned before. It's got the C4. It's got the suspension off a C4 Corvette. These are some beefy axles too. I'm actually more impressed that he broke one just because of how impressive these are. Granted, it was the U-joint that he broke though. Oh boy, that's some damage. Yeah, that took the hit hard.
Yeah, it did.
Oh wow, I haven't seen it here before.
Yeah, I wanted the exhaust come out through, so I didn't want to see the exhaust system. It's dirty right now because this truck gets driven.
Yeah.
I collect bugs. I don't collect trailer miles with it.
Yes, sir. You got the battery back here now. I thought it would be in the engine bay.
Nope.
Okay.
That's the battery disconnect switch.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you got the push off on the back here. Yep. And how many gallons is this fuel cell?
20-gallon fuel cell.
Okay, so you get some decent range out of it. Fits nicely in there too. The frame and the cage on this thing is impressive too.
Thank you. This is a crash bar, basically, this right here.
I saw that. That's probably important, having the fuel cell right there. And you built this all yourself, right?
Yeah, all myself. I had friends that helped me. Well, that's what I do for a living too. That's my shop right there, is G-Force.
Okay. G-Force Tech.
Yep.
There's the phone number, and that's in Massachusetts, correct?
Yep, that's Massachusetts.
There you go. And there's his Instagram, GeForce Tech 71. I think the other impressive thing is these exhaust tips. They're molded into the fenders, which I think is really cool. You don't see that a lot.
Those are for, those are resonators in there, and they have big mufflers to make it quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, not only is it come out the fenders, but it's actually molded into it. That's cool.
Then I got more exhaust right there.
Okay.
That's where the cutouts go.
Oh, there you go.
These are still stock. Jump right on it.
Yup.
You don't know nothing.
You got door bars.
5-point harness.
Yes, sir.
That's my brake bias valve right there.
Where at?
That's a brake bias valve. I
Okay.
can adjust my front to rear brake bias.
Sweet. And it's a Chevy 3100.
1950.
Dang. And I'm not super familiar with these old trucks. What exactly does 3100 refer to? Like with that, that's a half ton?
That's a half ton. That's the beginning of the series. We
Okay.
go 31, 34, 3600s.
Okay.
And 38s and 4000s.
Okay.
So 31's the half ton.
Yup.
This was a farm truck model because they had a 4-speed on the floor. Most of them had three on the trees.
Okay.
This had a 4-speed on the floor.
Interesting.
Farm truck.
Yeah.
So it was quite rare. I had a lot of people mad at me because it was so nice in the beginning. So
Yeah.
You gotta start with something nice and end with something nice.
Yeah. We've all been there where it's no fun starting with a rusty project.
Oh no.
Or just something that's been beat on or hammered on.
As you know, we're both tall. I had to make a footwell box. If you look right here, where the steering comes through.
Yep.
That footwell box from the factory up here starts and goes 45 down.
Yep.
If you look on the passenger side, you'll see it.
Just come over here.
See the 45 down?
Yep.
So you can, the bars actually, the roll cage actually comes out through there.
Yeah, so they're not symmetrical. The pedal box is a lot more pronounced than over here.
Because I needed the pedal swings for my long legs.
Yes, sir. Got all adjustable arms. That's crazy. This thing's impressive.
Thank you. Just gotta get her dialed in a little bit more and that'll be really competitive.
Yeah.
It's the first time out really for her, so it's trying to work all the bugs, you know?
Yeah, that's impressive that you came to Autocross Week to break it in.
Yep. Well, if you're gonna break it in, you gotta break it in good.
That's right. So as you guys probably saw on my Instagram, we got done with the entire Autocross Week. Literally last run, I come in and the car starts puking coolant. It's dripping something out the bottom, but I can't tell what it was. And then I realized it was puking fluid out the lower radiator hose where it mates up to the thermostat neck. I threw a whole water bottle in the radiator. I let it cool down and then I was able to throw some water in it. I think it should be okay. I'm gonna try and grab a radiator cap on my way home, like a factory one. I'm hoping and thinking a factory radiator cap should fit this car, but I think it just got too much pressure in it just because it was running low. I think I should be more than okay for the drive home, but we'll see.
Use it as much as you want. I'll just dump them.
What's that? Yep. Yeah, I figured that out on the rears and I've been meaning to fix the front. I got a way to fix it, I just got to get around to it. She's leaking coolant bad there. I don't know why. I think she's just running a little bit warm.
All right, and the last group that we had was the Unlimited Class. These are the guys that like to push the limits with their cars. They got a whole bunch of stuff done to it. In second place, we have Chandler Burton.
We're still in Ohio and I just stopped for gas and there's a little over 600 miles left, and so I should only have to stop one more time for fuel. But we got food and everything. This is probably the last time I'm going to stop other than just for gas. And they did not have earplugs at the gas station. I was really hoping they did. So my brain is going to be absolutely fried by the end of this trip. But we got to make it home. Probably be making it home around somewhere around 4 in the morning. Probably sleep for a couple hours and then I gotta get hauling up to Brainerd. Tech isn't until 1 o'clock, but I've just raced this car for 4 days straight and then road tripped it. So I would like to do a thorough and complete nut and bolt check on the car because we just had a coolant leaking issue because a hose clamp was loose. At least I think that was the issue. It didn't tighten much, but tightened enough. So, and actually before I left on this trip, when I was rebuilding my brake lines and I was under there, I noticed the subframe bolts going through the subframe into the body were loose. They were sticking out like 1/8 of an inch. So, which is not good at all. I could have lost one on the highway or whatever. I got lucky because they could have just like ripped the threads out of the body and then I would have been really screwed. But it's time to get on the road again. Enough talk. Alright, so we're lining up now for SNA class. We made it home at like 4 in the morning and then we were able to drive here, get teched, everything. We already had the driver's meeting. Looks like the first car is about to be going out now, but our class is going to be running first, and I wasn't able to do a course walk. They didn't give us that opportunity, but I'm hoping I can set down a competitive time in my class. I'm just running in like the stock 4-cylinder class, so see how she do. Last time I was on this course, I didn't like it, and I just don't like the texture of the course, but that was 2 years ago. We're a better driver, we got a better car, and we got better tires now, so could be a different story. So I completely botched up that first run. The car came around on me and I ended up getting a DNF. I don't know why it came around on me though, because it was very like out of nowhere. The car was feeling okay, but then not very much grip, but it was feeling okay. I don't have any chalk on me right now. It's back at my grid, so I can't chalk my tires, but I might try letting a little bit of air out because that was very sudden how it came around. But this course is just as bad as I remember it being. It's extremely bumpy and it makes the car feel like it's extremely towed out in the front, or like it just doesn't feel good. I don't like it, but I'm also not making excuses. It is what it is. There's very, very little grip out there. I'm gonna try letting a little bit of the pressure out, but we'll see. All right, man. Alright, so that run we still DNF'd because we missed one of the gates in the back, but it was a lot more controlled than the last run. I went through that one gate where I spun. I went through that gate like just way slower and just more controlled. I controlled my speed a lot better. Also, one thing I noticed after this last run, I was spinning tires so much and getting so much heat in the tires that I went out on the run with my front tires at 31 PSI and they ended up at 35 PSI. So for this run, I dropped the fronts to 28 and the rears to 25. I think this course, thanks man, I think this course is gonna like lower tire pressures a lot more. I'm willing to drop the fronts to 15 if I need to, I don't care. You know, as long as I don't debeat, but I have a spare tire. But yeah, I'm just struggling for grip out there. This car doesn't like to change direction as much as some of these cars, and I'm asking a lot of the front tires out here. So we'll see how these next runs do, but I think it's all gonna depend on tire pressure. It is what it is.
Start getting some heat in them yet or not?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
So that run, we finally set down a time of 44.7. So the car took very well to the lower tire pressure. I'm gonna drop the fronts down to 25. I think that's gonna benefit from it really well. I don't think it's gonna be too low. I think we're gonna be right in that sweet spot. I think it might even be able to go lower. It really drove way better with the lower tire pressure, so I want to keep dipping into that and seeing if I can't lay down a better time. I only have 2 runs left that I know of. I don't know if we're going to be doing more, but we're only doing 5 runs, and I have 2 DNFs so far, so I need to make these last 2 runs count. And I don't have an air pump with me, and I don't have time between runs to set it up anyways. But we're going to see what lower tire pressure does.
Don't hassle me. When you're ready.
So I got the car jacked up, got the tires rotated, and I was working on it for a little bit. I retensioned the alternator. I was going to change out my spark plugs, but I realized I don't have a gapping tool, so I got to wait to see if Cody's got one of those. But the car's all good. I did a nut and bolt check. Everything's solid. I got to get air in the tires for tomorrow, but otherwise it's all good to go. But they got drifting going on right now, so we're gonna go head over there and see if we can get some content and some footage for you guys. Go watch what happens. So you guys saw the standing start shootout. It was a lot of fun, but it was kind of a mix between time attack and like just a track day. I did not put down a competitive time, but only because I'm way down on power. I was full throttle literally everywhere other than the braking zones. Once I got on the brakes, it was back on full throttle everywhere. These tires are getting down there too. I think these tires they're under half tread life, and I think they're at the limit of their heat cycles. That basically concludes race week for me. It was 6 days of back-to-back racing. The car never let me down. It did awesome. I couldn't have asked for a better experience. This was definitely the best racing experience of my life. This was awesome. I got to meet a ton of cool people. Autocross week was awesome. If you ever get a chance to do it, I highly recommend it. Don't sleep on it. I'm going to do my best to get to Autocross week next year, 2024. I really want to go to that for sure. I'm definitely going to go as many times as I can because it was awesome. And there's actually a few people from Autocross week here, but this was my first time on the course here at Brainerd, and I got to see a lot of really cool drifting. So I don't really have any other closing thoughts. It was a long, arduous week, but the payoff was huge. I had so much fun and I learned a lot as a driver. So I will catch you guys on the next video.
To say, I'm the king of the world.
Thinking about my life in a long ride. Figured I could figure for a long time, trying to get